G'day, Mike here for another episode of Mike's Making Munch, or Munchy Mikey Makey, whatever it's called. Still, it's been a while since I've used the cast iron fry pan. I need to get back to using that, but I'm not using it today again. So, Rach shared to me this thing of Aussies on Tumblr or something, and people being mystified by Australian culture. And so today I'm making fairy bread and a hot Milo for my lunch. Hot Milo because it's a little bit cold. It's cold enough for me to be wearing a cardigan. So yeah, so that's what I'm having for lunch. So I've already done the very first little step of putting a bit of hot water into my Milo. And now I finish mixing it. Wow. I feel like it's worthwhile doing the Milo first because then it gets a second to cool off before I'm ready to eat my delicious fairy bread. What a delicious combo of delights. I went shopping yesterday, got groceries, and I brought home 12 eggs. Good news. Good to tell you that. Also, last time I went shopping, I mentioned, I got to turn left earlier. And I did that. I did turn left earlier, but there was road work. And so I wasted a lot of time by turning left earlier. Whoops. So, I don't know. I just had to go around the block, come back another street, go up there, and then go to the next one. I'm also making Rach a cold Milo. I don't know what she's having for lunch, but she's going to have a cold Milo at least. Maybe that'll give her the energy to make her own making munch with Rach or something. She probably should go for more R words, like raking ranch with Rach. That'd make sense. Yeah. Or maybe she'll have some of this bread. Rach made bread today. I'll hold it up for you once I finish stirring this. Oops. I put the spoon straight in my mouth from my hot Milo, and it was too hot. Oops. Oh well, no matter. Let me hold up the bread for you that you can see. It's still cooling. Oh, it's mostly cooled. Ooh, bread. Bread. Yum. So Rach started making that at 4 o'clock yesterday. And, oh, sorry, Sil. I scared Sil by throwing the spoon into the sink. Rach started making the bread at 4 o'clock yesterday. And then it had to sit for, like, overnight, just in the bowl. Then she had to do a little bit this morning, and then she put it in the oven a bit ago. When'd you put it in the oven?
4 to 11.
4 to 11 or something is when Rach put it in the oven. And now it's baked already. Wow. But because I'm making fairy bread, I'm not using that bread. I'm using this one. Ooh. White sandwich, slicey slice. Yeah. It's good. Good for fairy bread. Ideal fairy bread. Even. I wouldn't use that bread to make fairy bread. That would be the wrong bread. But I think also if you try to use this bread to make fairy bread, it's more than just like it's the wrong kind of bread. Like it's got all these holes in it. Like, you know when, like, fancy crusty bread, there's just massive air bubble hole bits. It's like that. So it would just be quite impractical. Like, you've not got the perfect flatness of this white bread that allows for just real good fairy bread. It would just be a bit too much of a mess. I did not put enough sprinkles on this fairy bread. You need more. But yeah. But I think it'll also be a relational thing. I feel like Rachel would be pretty angry at me if, you know, she'd spent all this time making this bread, all this effort, then I use it for fairy bread. Like, she'd be a bit offended. And so I think if someone else came along, was like, yeah, I'm going to make fairy bread, and they chose that bread, I'll show it to you again because it's pretty. Ooh. If they chose this bread to make fairy bread, then it'd be a bit like, oh, don't do that. But I would be saying don't do that, not just for no reason. I'll be like, you shouldn't do that because that's going to hurt your relationship with Rach. Like, Rach made that not for the purpose of just whatever bread that you can make fairy bread out of. It's fancy bread. She made this bread the other week and we used it for cheese. Ooh, nice. Like a nice cheese. It was a double brie. And yeah. So I think there's a relational aspect there of actually you shouldn't do that. You know? You know when I talk about shouldn't, I just remember this thing, you can't really say what should be out of what is. Like, it's just what is. Maybe what is wrong. Alright? So you can't be all like, oh look, here's some fairy bread that is made out of Rachel's fancy nice bread. That means it should be. Well, not necessarily. But I think there's relational aspects there that make you go, oh, well, actually, for the purpose of having a good relationship with Rach, you shouldn't misuse her bread, really. Yeah. So that's why I use cheap bread instead of Rachel's fancy bread. Because I shouldn't use her fancy bread for making fairy bread. Anyway, because I just made Milo and fairy bread for my lunch. That took like 2 seconds. Completely done. So I'm going to go eat this and have a fun lunchtime. Yeah. But I think it's interesting to think about, like, what you should and shouldn't do and where that idea of should and shouldn't comes from. You know? Because it's got to come from somewhere. You can't just make it up. That's absurdism. That was a hilarious joke that I just made. I loved it. Anyway, I'm going to go. Does Sylvia want to come wave goodbye?
Oh, she can come.
Sylvia's awake. She did a poo-splosion a moment ago. That's exciting. But she's going to come say bye. Bye. Have a good lunch. And I'll catch you tomorrow on Mike's Making Lunch. What a cute girl. What are you looking at? She just... I don't know what she's looking at. Like, the screen should be filling what she can see. But she's like, nah, I'm going to look over there. Ooh, what's that over there? Who knows? Anyway, see you later.